We often search for love in words, gifts, and beautiful gestures, failing to notice it where it speaks through silence and pain. This parable is about a kind of love that is easy to reject and difficult to recognize because it does not know how to be beautiful. If you stay with this story until the end, you will see what the deepest form of love truly looks like, the kind that is usually understood too late. And it is important to hear it now, while there are still those beside you who share it with you in silence. In a small town lived a boy. He was 7 years old. He lived with his father in an old house on the edge of town. His mother had passed away 3 years ago, and since then, the house had grown very quiet. The father worked at a factory. He left early in the morning when it was still dark and returned late at night. He almost never spoke. His face was always gray with exhaustion, and his hands were rough and cracked from heavy labor. When he came home, he simply ate a bowl of plain soup and went to bed. He didn't hug his son. He didn't ask about school. He simply had no strength left. The boy thought his father didn't love him anymore. He remembered how his mother used to laugh and how the house used to smell of fresh bread. Now the house only smelled of dust and cold tobacco. Winter came. The frosts that year were very bitter. The boy went to school in an old jacket that had become too small. The sleeves barely reached his elbows, and the zipper was always breaking. In class, the other children laughed at him. They wore warm, bright, new coats. The boy said nothing to his father. He saw his father counting pennies at the end of every month just to pay the electricity bill. One evening, the boy saw his father take an old coat out of the closet. It was his mother's coat. It was long, heavy, made of deep blue wool. The father looked at it for a long time. Then he picked up a pair of scissors and a needle. The light stayed on in the father's room all night. The boy heard the chair creaking and the sound of scissors cutting fabric. The next morning, a new jacket lay on the chair by the boy's bed. It was handmade from that same blue wool. It was heavy and it smelled like his mother, a scent of old perfume and something familiar. The boy put the jacket on. It was warm, but it looked strange. The seams were uneven. The stitches were large and crooked. There were patches on the elbows made of different scraps. The boy was terrified. He knew that at school the laughter would be even louder. The coat looked like a rag. He went to school. All day he tried not to take the jacket off, hiding in corners. But during the break, his classmates surrounded him. They pointed at the messy stitches and laughed. One boy said, "Did your dad find that in a dumpster? Can't he buy you a real coat?" The boy came home in tears. He was in a rage. He hated the jacket. He hated being poor. And in that moment, he hated his father for making him a laughingstock. He threw the jacket into the corner and screamed at his father, who had just walked in from work. "Why did you do this? I would rather freeze in my old jacket. Everyone is laughing at me. You can't even buy me a normal thing." The father didn't say a word. He just looked at his son with his tired eyes. His fingers were covered in bandages in several places. He had pricked them over and over with the needle while sewing all night. He turned around in silence, went to his room and closed the door. 3 days passed. The father became very ill. The sleepless nights and working in the cold had taken their toll. He was taken to the hospital. An elderly neighbor took the boy in for a few days. The boy sat in her kitchen, angry and bitter. The neighbor looked at him and said, "You shouldn't have said those things to him. Do you know why he made you that jacket?" "Because he has no money," the boy muttered. "Not just that," the woman sighed. "Your father has no money, it's true. But that night he was sewing. The heater broke. It was so cold in the house you could see your breath. He gave you the only warm thing left from your mother. He cut it up to save you from the cold. He sat there all night in just a shirt so he could finish it by morning. He doesn't know how to sew, son. He has never held a needle in his life. He just didn't want you to be cold." The boy went silent. He ran back to his home. In the empty, cold apartment, he found the blue jacket in the corner. He picked it up and began to look closely at the seams. Now he didn't see crooked lines. He saw small spots of blood on the fabric where his father had pricked his fingers. He saw how those rough hands used to heavy metal had tried so hard to make something gentle for him. The boy pressed the jacket to his face. Now it didn't just smell like his mother. It smelled like his father's sweat, tobacco, and a massive, silent love that he hadn't understood. He ran to the hospital. He ran through the freezing wind in that heavy, ugly jacket, and he felt very warm. He burst into the room where his father lay. His father was very pale. The boy put his forehead against the edge of the bed and cried. He took his father's rough hand and whispered, "I'm sorry. This is the best coat in the whole world." The father slowly squeezed the boy's hand with his bruised fingers. He didn't say a word, but for the first time in years, a small smile appeared on his face. In that moment, the boy understood. Love is not beautiful words or new things. Love is when someone gives you the last thing they have left, even if it looks like an old reworked coat.